CPUs, and then there should be an IDs one here. These must just default to the obvious to IDSI process name. Now, what we probably care about is how these are actually being calculated. So we actually have special blocks for scripts. So for example, it's actually going through and it's saying, okay, well, NPM is actually a new property that we're creating, because the actual object itself, if we were to do get process, we could actually access, I think there's an NPM property inside of here. So here's our output, get process GM. There's NPM property. But you're going to notice that if I was to actually go through, and I'll actually ask someone in the chat, how would I create a variable and assign it to the output of get process? Let's see if anyone remembers. It's okay. Even just start off if you just know how to create a variable and assign it to something, and then we can do the rest. Yeah, there we go. Actually, that was perfect. So variable, let's just do it this way. Processes is equal to. But yeah, you're right. It's get process. So if we are to do this, now process contains the contents of whatever get process was when we ran it. So we can do processes, and then we can go through and we can do dot, and we can walk through here, right? So we can actually see all the different properties inside of here. So we can say, okay, well, let's see what NPM looks like. We do NPM. Okay, so we get a whole bunch of numbers. I'm just going to open up a separate PowerShell window here, and I'm just going to get process. So, are these the same? Let's see. They're really not, right? So you can see npmk, and this is the output of the actual raw data that's stored inside of each process. These are very different. And it's because we're actually going through inside of this file and it's saying, okay, well, because we normally don't care about whatever NPM is in its regular size, this big long number here, we're going to convert that into kilobytes. So we're going to divide it by 1024. And the syntax of $_ actually represents just the variable for each loop through. So each row that we're going through here. So that would be the process that we're working with. So $_ represents that. So essentially we're just going through, we're running processes. So for example, instead of doing this, we would have processes 0 NPM. And that is what we're getting. And then all we're doing is dividing it by 1024, right? Oop, not that, 1024. And then it's gonna round it. Same thing with PM. So we're doing the same thing with PM. We can go through for the first one, 11516. Let's see what it looks like in this one. The first one, 11516. See? WS, same thing. And then we're going to see VM. It's divided by this big long number here. There's probably something divided by... Yeah. Oh, and then there's some nasty code down at the bottom here, but I have it better formatted inside of here. Essentially, it's going through and it's getting the CPU. But anyway, what I'd like to illustrate about this is that we're going through and we're essentially going to be manipulating the data inside of this object in this output here and formatting it how we want it, right? Same thing with the ID. If you just leave it blank, it'll just print out the ID. But that's totally fine if you just don't need to do anything to it. But if you need to change it, you can use one of these script blocks. Again, I'd like to emphasize, don't play with this. This isn't really the point of this, me lecturing about it, but if you want to play with it by yourself, don't blame me. You might break it. Make a copy of this so that you don't, if you need to replace it afterwards, you have some way of replacing it. But that's kind of the core concept here, is that we can actually, the default stuff is actually formatted inside of here. I'm going to show you today other ways of formatting this. So don't worry, there are other ways. You don't have to modify this file, but this is how they do it by default. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions?